So about cancellation of all the spring sports is that, first of all, if you look at what the NCAA have done and speaking with our conference office and our commissioner where they were headed, the president and I and the university administration, the board chairman, uh, thought that it was important that we recognize that student safety is first. And we're living in such a situation of the unknown as it relates to what this virus is causing. As you learn more about, particular referees and other students and in different locations, people that have had the virus, and there's no way that you can tell. And obviously, when you start talking about a student and a student athlete and someone child or someone kid, the first thing come to us is the safety and preserving life. And with the decision of protecting all the students at the university of going to online learning, uh, then I thought it was best to make sure that we just suspend the rest of this season, spring sports season, and focus on, like the state of Louisiana, of trying to find a way that we all can get healthy and get back to normalcy. And then when that happens, we all can start concentrating on athletics, because that's a second thought at this time. The first thought is making sure that we protect student athletes and their well-being, and making sure that that child or that kid can make it back home to their families, and we kept them out of harm's way. And so that's the silver lining to making the decision, along with uh, the recommendations of the NCAA and the conference office as well.
Coach, obviously, with the cancellation of the spring sports, does that mean that spring football for Southern is permanently off? And secondly, what about the LSU game that was scheduled to be here at AW Mumford Stadium?
Yeah, so I spoke with LSU briefly, but I think they just put something out about their spring game, canceling their spring game, and that's no surprise to me. Obviously, that most, if not all, institutions have suspended off-season workouts and spring practices and spring competition, and trying to keep everybody out of harm's way. So therefore, all spring workouts and off-season workouts are all canceled, as well as we try to give everybody a chance to be germ-free as much as possible and go back to their respective homes and places as we regroup. Here from at the university and statewide, are trying to find the answers to making sure that everybody's in a safe place. And so, as it relates to all our athletic events for the rest of this semester is off.
What are your thoughts of the NCAA today granting an extra year of eligibility for student athletes in the spring and summer sports?
So I don't know if they granted that. That's a rumor that's out there that has not been passed. But I do know that there's conversation about, particularly in the sports of baseball and softball. Basketball, and they're finished up and got 30 games in and most of their season in, and there's also a structure in place if the NCAA tournament didn't happen for men's basketball as it relates to starting the other spring sports like softball and baseball that just started in our case here at Southern University. And then there's some conversation about doing something. Now, what is something is, I want to be very sure that I don't know what that is. But you can rest assured that we'll use all our abilities to file waivers as it relates to our student athletes and particularly our seniors as well. And this was a tough decision today as it relates to suspending sports for the rest of the spring, because of you want to get all the student athletes a chance, and then you want to get those seniors a chance to they've been here for 4 years, and their senior year, that's a special year to go out and fight for all those games and play for the fans that year, and they won't get that opportunity. And so I'll be strongly standing by, if we don't do anything for underclassmen, then we at least have something that we do for the seniors as it relates to getting those years back. And as much as you know, the NCAA tournament, I thought that we had both teams that can go to the conference tournament and possibly win that tournament, and I just felt like that all our momentum was headed our way. And I just think that right now the right thing to do is to make sure that we're protecting our student athletes about suspending everything and getting them a chance to go home to their families safely and healthy and strong, and then reassess this thing at the end of the semester.
Has there already been talk with the SWAC about the way they're going to do things? Is Prairie View going to be listed as the SWAC champion for this year, and Jackson State for the women's? And what about anything with baseball? Are they going to award a champion for that or anything?
So baseball, I don't think there's some conversation. I don't think anything happened as it relates to a champion, but on record, if anything ever failed, the regular season winning basketball go down as the representative for regular season tournament or whatever may take place. So there's a statute in place for that. Baseball, you know, is too early. We didn't get a chance to really play conference games, and so I think that you know, this actually may go down as a season that was just cut short. I don't think it'll be a champion name or anything like that. I don't even think we have enough games in to make that happen. And so that'll be something that, you know, maybe in the future you work on a policy or short term or something like that. But basically all our schools are going. The NCAA not giving spring championships as well. You know, at the end of the day, it's really, they sent out the message early on, then what, you know, the season is not as important right now as it is for people to be healthy.
Roman, the athletic quarters, there's a lot of people that, you know, come and go. There's these tight spaces with student athletes everywhere. Will you as an athletic director or Southern make it a point at some point, since because of all this stuff shut down, to, I don't know, bring in some sort of high maintenance cleaning crew? I don't really know how this works.
You must probably was just in our meeting. So, you know, we just got out of the departmental meeting about this whole, how this work as it relates to our student athletes, you know, online learning, and we have to make sure that they are still meeting the criteria of academics for the NCAA for next season, and how are we going to be able to assist our students on this online learning. So we're in a space that we've never been in before. And speaking of the cleaning, is that you know, as students move out, you know, we're doing some detailing on our own, but we're going to bring in a company that we normally do anyway for staph infections and those other things that the human eye can't detect. And so we're working right now to determine what company that'll be and get everything clean and surface. So that's not unusual for us to do, but I'm sure with this new virus that it may detail something that we don't know about.
Will there be any student athletes being tested right now as far as from the university, or will they be allowed to go on their own to do that?
We're not doing any testing. As of right now, we don't have any symptoms or cases that from athletics that I know of that require that, and so we're thankful and hopeful that we're sending you know, our student athletes home to their parents in a healthy manner. And we're fortunate that we didn't have any cases. We do know there are a couple of campuses that have, and so, and then again, it takes a while, from my understanding, to detect that. But as of right now, we are healthy as a department, and we're thankful for that because you know, just yesterday when I was going to the conference tournament in the airport and coming back, and we seen a case that was in the airport and hit home about how close it could be to you. And that person didn't have nothing on their forehead. They weren't a certain color. They didn't look any different. And only that they knew, and they were able to tell the representatives in the airline, and so they can make accommodations. And so, you know, the unknown is the very tough part about this. And so, you know, it hit home for me personally how serious this issue is and how close you can be to it and not know.
The spring game that LSU was going to be having here, when was that conversation had about maybe canceling? Was it canceled or suspended? What was it that you said there?
So I haven't been able to. We was in our meeting when they called, and I wasn't able to get on the phone with them, but I'm about to get on the phone. But I think they sent out a press release saying that all their spring workouts and spring games were canceled from that standpoint.
What is the last, I guess, as the leader of the athletics department, what has the last 48, 72 hours kind of been like for you as you've watched everything kind of fall apart, really?
Yeah, this is really emotional time, and it's a time of uncertainty. It's really been something that, as the leader of the department, that kept me up at night wondering and praying that we make right decisions, that we keep our student athletes healthy. The decision to suspend, we stepped out there first in our conference, to suspend Springs. Is that the right decision? You got these kids that want to play, but, when you sit down and you look at it prospectively and you realize human life is first. And every decision that we have made is protect the student athletes and our coaches and the welfare and safety of our fans as well. And so I don't regret, and I don't think that we have any regards of how we have handled this, because we do want everybody's child to be safe. And I do know the emotions of some of the students about they want to play, and that's the right emotion to have. But for those that have a call to duty beyond just an athletic event, we have to see the big picture. And, this is taking our country by storm, and definitely our state and our city. And so we have an obligation. And so we always going to err on caution, and we're going to do the right things as to keep everyone safe. And so we don't have any regrets. We thought through it carefully. The president and our chairman of the board and board of supervisors have worked closely with us in making these decisions. And I can go to sleep at night saying that we made the right decision because we protected our students.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, also, they have just confirmed it, according to the stadium, the NCAA Council Coordinating Committee has agreed to give extra season for athletes who had their seasons cut short for spring sports. The NCAA is still looking into what to do with players who played in winter sports, the report says. That is now currently on theadvocate.com, and it's according to the stadium website. Coach Kerry Jackson.
He's coming back.
Baseball. How you doing, man? Good. How are you? Good, good, great. Obviously, head coach Kerry Jackson, baseball, Southern University baseball coach. Obviously, I know very tough for you. Right in the middle of baseball, about to start your second series of SWAC play this weekend. Your thoughts about the cancellation of the rest of the season?
You know what, it's like you said, it's a tough decision that was made, but at the same time understandable with everything that's going on around the country, around the world. You have to think about what's in the best interest of the student athlete welfare first, and then the playing and all that kind of stuff second. But I'm going to have a meeting here with our guys in about 20 minutes and talk to them about what is going to take place and how the rest of the semester is going to look, and try and keep them in the best spirits as possible, and look on the bright side of things, and put us in a position where we're working to move forward.
Your thoughts about the NCAA granting an extra year of eligibility for those players in spring sports, which would be baseball?
Well, it's like I said, it's one of those things when it's official, it'll be official. I think there's the talk that they recognize something needs to be done, and obviously we're hoping that they do put something out that is official, that's giving everybody that this year back. And as I told a couple of our freshmen that came in and met with me this morning, you got to look at the bright side of it, is that they had an opportunity to have a year of playing, or part of a year of playing, without worrying about the numbers, and now we can move them forward. Next year they'll be freshmen again, but they'll be sophomore in experience. So there's definitely some benefit to that. We have a young group that was really, really talented, and we took our lumps this year with learning some things about how to play the game, so I think this will be beneficial for them.
What was your reaction when you first found out the news that the season would be canceled?
Um, it was understandable, but understandable shock that we, like I said, that I thought the NCAA, I thought they kind of rushed to canceling the College World Series a little bit early, prematurely, in my opinion. But when they canceled that, when March Madness was canceled, then you just knew the dominoes were going to fall after that. So the decision that we made as an institution was completely understandable with the precedent that had already been set by professional teams and and like I said, from the NCAA as well.
In all of years in baseball, being, associated with the major leagues and then now into college, have you ever witnessed this in your lifetime and in your working days?
No, you know what? The closest that had come to this was in 1992, and I don't know if you guys, the floods. And I was in junior college at the time, so it was that fall of '92 going into the spring of '93. We missed a ton of games because it rained all the time and it flooded up there in the Midwest, and so games were canceled and our season was cut short. It wasn't ended, but it was cut short because we had so many rainouts and there were so many places we couldn't go because of the floods. But that's probably the closest.
Logistically, all these athletic programs, you guys are so regimented in its practice and its weekend games and it's 4 times a week. You guys are competing. Logistically, I'm curious, what does it look like now? Like, literally, what do you tell your guys to do on a daily basis? Do they work out on their own? Obviously, I don't know if they can't even come here. Like, what is it? What do you think it will look like, and what do you tell your guys to really do now?
I'm afraid of that, to be honest with you, because it is going to be a time where they're going to go home. They're going to be idle. They're not going to know what to do. Similar to when we send them home over Christmas break, right? That's as for baseball coaches, that's our most fearful time because you have 5 weeks that you're at home where you're not doing anything. So hopefully we'll give them some things to do as far as weight room stuff goes. Try to keep them active. There's been some talks where maybe some summer programs are going to start earlier in the summer, which would be really, really nice for our kids to get out there and play some extra games and kind of get going in that grind of it a little bit. So hopefully we can kind of close that gap and bridge that gap a little bit with challenging them to go out and do some things, maybe do some video coaching while they're at home and have them video some things with swings and bullpens and those kind of things just to keep them active. And then hopefully that summer part will get started up a little bit quicker.
Is there any, I don't want to say concern, but what is the thought process of, you kind of said closing the window, but in terms of effects, down the road with, I don't know if it's recruiting, if it's scholarship numbers, there's so many questions. Do you have, what are your main concerns with that in terms of maybe how it could impact the rest of your, I guess, training program moving forward?
For sure. Again, like I said, I think we have a very young, talented group, and I think other people recognize that we had young and talented players, so you always run that risk now of somebody coming along and trying to recruit them to go someplace else, and with these rules they're talking about, with the transfer rules that may be put in place, that opens that type of opens us up for a little bit of that. So hopefully our guys understand the direction that we're headed in, the team that we have coming in for next year, combining with these guys, the success that we did have throughout the course of the year. We had a rough year to this point. We're 6-10, but I was able to point out to those guys, we played 5 games against, teams that were in the top 15 in the country. And so that was a good measuring stick for us. So hopefully moving forward, they understand that we're headed in the right direction and this is the right place for them to be.